This is the exercise 4 demonstration, which was supposed to be a live stream in which I did a test live stream right before it, and everything worked perfectly, and then when I went live, nothing worked. And I saw there's 3 people that were waiting to get in. I apologize. Me and technology, we do not get along. But we'll try our best in this particular video to somehow get along. What I've done is I went ahead and I added our data from exercise 4 into our current contents pane. I added it there, and then I changed going up to map, base map, and then imagery, and change it to our required imagery. What our objective here with this assignment is, okay, this time it's a web map, a digital map. So we're not going to be handing a piece of paper to someone. We're essentially creating a map in which we know our audience is going to be looking at it via their phone, via their tablet, whatever. So we have to use a certain type of map. We don't want them changing the map. So we have a fixed map, and that's in case of this is our imagery. So we're kind of stuck with that. So now what we have to do is we have to think about color. What colors stand out the most given the kind of the area that that's being mapped? And so the default here, in case of when I added the parcels, was blue. Maybe yours will be different. And once again, we go to symbology, so I can highlight that. A layer, go to symbology, and our symbology pane should open. So our symbology pane, now we can identify, or we can change the color. And I suggest the no color, as you then will work with the lines to then determine what do you think is the most desirable or the best, most aesthetically pleasing colors based on the underlying colors. Essentially, what makes it most easy for a person to be able to view parcel ID numbers. And so we can see the parcel boundaries. Okay, that's great. So I'm asking you to play around with this, and you can think about maybe transparency. So, not necessarily do you have to have hollow. You could have a very faint infill in which it stands out. So you can do different things. So that's different things you can do as far as the symbology of our parcels, of our polygons. But we have a second step, and that second step is to work with labeling. Alright, so now go to a particular area. Okay, let's just say over here. Where's the campus bar? Right there, campus bar, somewhere in this area. Alright, so here we have a parcel. Alright, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to change my colors. I'm going to do something maybe purple. It's my daughter's favorite color. Great. And I also made it that taupe color there to just make them stand out. Once again, I suggest you making them hollow because the user needs to see what's underneath. I'm just, in this case, doing this for illustrative purposes. So I right-click on the layer, and I go down to Labeling Properties, and I should now over here have in my pane all kinds of things here. So what this is doing is this is saying, okay, I can set it up so that the only labels that show are labels that are certain ones. Or I can say only ones within certain ranges. So if I have all of the counties of Indiana, I just want show me just the labels of the ones that start with the letter W. Something like that. So that's the thing as far as what you can do with Python Arcade in terms of how you can change labels. You can also change kind of as far as what it's saying. So for example, you have the raw data is just a bunch of just numbers, no commas, no separators, or maybe would say you want it to have it say millions or thousands instead of just the whole 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. That's all stuff that you can manipulate and work with here in the label properties, working with the Python, SQL, and all of the expressions. So I just wanted to introduce you to that. We're not going to go there. We're going to quickly back away from that. Beep, beep. beep, beep. All right, we backed away. Good. So now other things we can do here with our labels is first off choosing, well, what labels do we see? And so what I suggest is now going up here to labeling, clicking on that, and the ribbon should expand, and we can change the field to our desired parcel ID. We want to change it to parcel ID, and as it eventually, what will happen is it will eventually show this when I right click and hit the word label. So now you can see the parcel IDs are shown. But Houston, we have a problem. We have a situation here in which you kind of this overlaps, and so this is where we now have to play around with the stuff up here, the various things to mess around with. I also, in the instructions, I do mention something here called the visibility range. That's all done here. I just wanted to show you where that's done. You can mess around with the font type. And fonts are covered a few different times in this course, but for digital maps, we want simplicity. We want simple numbers. So this is where we choose Arial font over Times New Roman. Times New Roman has the extra stuff, or the extra things around the numbers. We want simple numbers. Digitally, that's what we prefer. So in web maps, simpler numbers. So think about that when you're adjusting for fitting in these parcels. Think also about the type of font. So not only does it fit and all that, but the type. Other things you can do is the placement and style. So we can do that here, but I prefer in terms of determining how I want these numbers, which is the key to this assignment, is kind of figuring out how to show these numbers. Some things to do is to do this in the pane. Up here you have a few options, but there are more options down here. So I'm going to go down to the symbol, and you'll see if I move this down, that's where all the goodies are. So all the goodies are hiding. So this is where I then change as well. I can also change the type. I do not want to use something funky like sample or Goudy Stout. No, don't want to use that. No, we want simple stuff here. So black, obviously we wouldn't want black because this is. I'll go back to our symbology. This is going to be hollow or close to hollow so people can see the underlying buildings because we're showing parcels, which is a land thing. So I want to be able to see that that's a hospital or an Institute of Geography Excellence, whatever it might be. All right, so other things to think about. If I go back to our properties in terms of labeling, we need to go back to label, symbology. So there's other things you can really get into is when we think about longer sentences and fonts, all that. But let's go to position. So now position. So we have different things. You have the land parcel placement, which is kind of logical since we are using land parcels. If we're using river placement, so the idea there is if we had all the river names of all the various rivers of Indiana, I can then have the fonts of the text go kind of along the rivers. So the Ohio would go along the Ohio. It wouldn't just be Ohio River shown here perfectly horizontal. So those are other things. Boundary, obviously logical follows the boundary as well. So land parcel, so what they'll should do is in this case put one right in the smack dab middle of a parcel, in which I then can then go and decide, okay, do I want it horizontal? Do I want it to fit straight? Do I want it to fit curved? That's all up to you. That's where you then do your research, and your by research being you're figuring it out on your own, guessing and checking, seeing what you like, what you don't like, and all of that. Now, other things we can do to really make these numbers stand out, besides changing the font, changing the color, we can also do some formatting in terms of what's around it. So I'm going to look at something called a halo. So a halo as the name implies, adds a halo around the number, and that's something in which I can change, of course, and choose your own adventure, have fun. I can also do something called a call out, or of course a shadow. Shadow does some as well. I'll go ahead and I'll go and show a shadow. Let's see a shadow in action. We'll use a yellow since we have black. So you can see how a shadow. Come on now. There, I had to add that offset. A shadow adds that behind, and I can change making it go up or to the side, whatever I would want to do, and probably use negative numbers if I want. Anyhow, so that's stuff regarding shadow. And lastly, something called a mask. An ArcGIS calls it a callout. So just a simple, you do a balloon. Let's do a polygon. So here, see how the polygon's been added. So I can do a simple line. Or nothing. You can choose your own adventure. So these are very simple things you can do to make text stand out so that it's easily readable for our audience. So this one, the reflection, you can see how it has 5 points. The reason why it's 5 points, definitely because there's a lot more to do there than you have previously in earlier exercises. Other things to look out for if you're viewing this video before Sunday, December 15th or 16th, whatever it might be, you've got on Monday, discussion 2 becomes available. So discussion 2, it might be available to you already, depending on when you're viewing this video. So discussion 2, very important to take a look at that as well. As always, if you have any questions about anything, bakeran@iu.edu, and I will be there next Thursday.